BBC talk today, the topic of chaos came up. And samsara is a very chaotic situation because we're completely under the influence of afflictions and karma. We're not free. And things are changing all the time, moment by moment, imperceptibly, and then also big changes that happen suddenly or seemingly suddenly, but actually due to subtle impermanence. And so part of our thing as Dharma practitioners is to learn how to adapt to change, to adapt to things not being the way we want them to be, and to remain centered in the midst of the chaos of samsara. So we remain centered by having a very clean, clear motivation, by being very clear about what our ethical standards are, and by knowing a clear path to take, and following that with the proper guidance of a teacher, and remaining firm in our motivation and in our following of the path. So to not let our mind become chaotic under the influence of afflictions and karma. So we keep coming back to the bodhicitta motivation, to attain full awakening for the benefit of all beings. Because if we keep our mind on that long-term motivation, it sets a very clear direction for our life, a very clear path that we can go on and stay on despite the chaos in the environment and despite the chaos in our mind, which means we need to learn how to work with what comes up in our minds. But let's cultivate that motivation and use that as our anchor, as our North Star for where we're going. So we kind of say, yeah, there's chaos, and there's chaos in my mind, but I'll get over this chaos, and then it'll be smooth sailing after this. No, because as long as we have afflictions, you learn to work with one, and then another one will become prominent. It's like the weeds in the fields. You get rid of the knapweed, and then you see the tansy. And you get rid of the tansy, and then the other one, this kind of weird grass. What's it called? That one. Yeah. Whatever it's called. It becomes prominent. Yeah. So it's the same thing. Yeah. So don't think, I'm just going to get through this bump in the road. Get it all clear, then it's going to be smooth sailing. We are beings who are in samsara. We've been in samsara since beginningless time. We have a whole store of karma behind us. We have so much familiarity with afflictions that it's pathetic. So if we think all this is going to go away real quick, then we're not being very realistic. So we have to, see things realistically. And when we do, then we have, the false expectations fall away. And also the wrong ways of interpreting things fall away too. Sometimes we have expectations for wild attainments, and we overestimate things. And other times, we completely tell ourselves the situation is impossible and everything's hopeless, and we underestimate things. Okay? So, this is where, practice, we have to remain steady without the exaggeration, without the deprecation. And then just keep going where we know we want to go. And everything is going to come up. I mean, in the Buddhist time, they talked about Mara. On the first day I told you the story of Buddha's enlightenment, all hell broke loose when he sat down to meditate. You think you're going to be any different? That you're going to sit down to meditate and everything's going to be blissful? Yeah. So, just be aware this stuff's going to happen. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It means you're normal. Yeah. When people come to me and they say, oh, I'm having blissful meditations, everything's just so wonderful, and I'm going, hey, I wonder what in the world they're doing. Are they actually practicing? Yeah. Similarly, the people who come and say, oh, my life is falling apart, my mind is totally crazy, I can't do anything, and this is all hopeless, then they're not practicing either. Okay. Two extremes. We're very extremist. ISIS isn't the only extreme organization. We are extremists in our own way. Okay. More extreme than ISIS, I think, sometimes. So what I wanted to do, because, I did a little history and stuff yesterday, is to pause from that. And in the ordination ceremony, when you take the Shramanera, and for the women, the Shikshamana ordination, there's, but primarily in the Shramanera, there's a lot of instruction that your acharya or instructor gives you, or your preceptor, your upadhyaya, gives you. And in the ceremony, you often can't completely pay attention because you're trying to do everything right. In my ceremony, it was all in Tibetan. I couldn't understand it. But aside from that, I was just trying to keep my robes on, because we didn't have the design, the ones with the elastic in those days. And, I was sure the whole thing was going to fall off in the middle of the ordination ceremony. So I was really just trying to keep my robes on and fold my Zen properly. And, they didn't want me to take time folding my Zen. They just picked it up and put it on my arm. So I didn't have the opportunity to really, hear what the instructions were. And even now, here we do the whole ceremony in English. Sometimes, you're nervous or whatever, and still trying to keep your robes on. And so you can't hear everything. So I thought to go through some of the things that are said in the ceremony, because there's a lot of wisdom in it. And I began to think, because when somebody gets ordained, at least for the full ordination and the Shikshamana, you need a Sangha Karman. So you have to have at least 4 people plus a preceptor there for that. And so that means all those other people are listening to the ceremony too. So I think you have other people there, not just so that the community is in agreement, but so that the other people hear the ceremony and think about the meaning too. Okay? So it isn't that, you do the ceremony, okay, I got that, now I'm just sitting there and trying to stay awake while somebody else is getting ordained. No, it's the instructions are meant for you too, no matter how long you've been ordained. Okay, so I thought just to go through and pick out some of these sections and what they mean in this kind of situation where we have time to explain them and talk about them, what they mean. Okay, so at the very beginning, when two people lead the candidate to go to the acharya and the upajjhaya, the preceptor and the instructor, and that person kneels, and the other they make 3 bows and then they kneel, and then the other people make the request on behalf of the candidate, because the candidate is like shaking in their boots at that point. Actually shaking in their bare feet, I should say. And so they say, what did they say here? They say, venerables, addressing the upajjhaya and acharya, disciple so-and-so would like to go forth from home life to homelessness, to practice the Dharma and become a Buddha. She invites the 2 teachers to enter the hall. Okay, there's just a few sentences. There's a lot of meaning in this. Okay, so it's a disciple so-and-so. So somebody is a disciple. They are a follower. They have the mindset that I need a teacher. I need guidance. Okay? So they have that mindset. They're not coming in with, I have it all figured out and you give me the ordination because I want it. It's, I'm a disciple and I need help. Okay? And what are they doing? They want to go forth from home life to homelessness. Okay? This is incredibly important. And it comes up again and again in the ceremony. When you ordain, you are going from home life to homelessness. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, home life. It means you have money, you have material property, you have a job or a career, you have a social standing in society, you have a family, your identity is very wrapped up with your family, with your social standing, with your job. You are embedded in worldly society. Okay, so it's not just that you own a house. Yeah, it's more. And it's seeking worldly security. When you go into homelessness, it isn't that, you're going to go live in the street. Yeah. It's a change in your mindset. Yeah. You no longer are concerned with money and property. Okay. So I'm saying this is where you want to get your mind. It's not saying that everybody's mind is there when they ordain. But when they teach in the ceremony, they're giving us instructions for where, knowing that we've accomplished some of this going in that direction, and that it's steering us to accomplish more. So we've given up some material stuff, but directing us, we need to give up more. But what's the real, we've given up maybe our worldly career, but maybe we're thinking about a Dharma career. Yeah, I want to be a teacher. I want to work for, for climate, against climate change. I want to, modernize Buddhist institutions. I want to spread Dharma in prisons. You're giving yourself a job, a career. If you go forth because you want to have a career in the Dharma, that's not the proper motivation. Because you can do that same career without ordaining. Yeah, you want to be a teacher, you want to be a social worker, you don't need to ordain to do that. Yeah, you want to go to environmental marches, you want to, sure, the Sangha does these things, but that's not the motivation for becoming a Sangha member. Okay? Our motivation should be, I am a being under the influence of afflictions and karma. I've been circling in cyclic existence from beginningless time. I have this opportunity now to do something. I need help. And my job is to learn and then to practice what I've learned. And then as I'm practicing, to share what I've learned with others. But I'm not coming here to be a translator, to be a teacher, to be a social worker, to set up a kindergarten, to set up an old folks home, to work for against climate change, to do this, to establish, make a retreat center, to all these kinds of things. Yeah. No, I am coming here. My fundamental job is to learn and practice the Dharma and then share as I'm able to. Yeah. It's not to make another identity for myself. It's not that I'm discarding my old identity and now I'm taking up a new career. Okay? Yeah, this is really important because remember I said it's your motivation that gets you ordained and it's your motivation that keeps you ordained. If your motivation is not clear when you ordain and if you don't keep it clear afterwards, then you will find it very difficult to remain ordained. Yeah? So it's very important to get everything clear from the outset because you're not ordaining as a phase. Yeah. My parents thought when I ordained that it was a phase and I would soon come to my senses. So it's not a phase. Now, sure, in some Buddhist traditions, there's temporary ordination. And that's well and good, and that's fine. It's not listed in the Vinaya. In the Vinaya, if you're actually going to ordain with monastic precepts, you have to have the intention to keep them for your whole life. Yeah, Anagarika precepts, that's not so. You can delineate a certain period of time you're going to keep them. But for monastic precepts, but some traditions, have made it so you could become a bhikshu or a bhikshuni, for 3 months and then give it back. So that works within those particular traditions. But that kind of motivation is not going to work if you want to be a monastic for your whole life. It's not I'm going to take the precepts and see how it goes. And then if it's not going so well, I'll give them back after a while. That's what you do, at least here at the Abbey, when you take Anagarika. When you're in Anagarika, that's when you're thinking about, do I want to go forward with this? Is this the life for me? Is this, is this a good fit? That's the time when you go through all of that. But once you decide, I'm making a lifetime commitment, then you stay with that commitment. Afterwards, if things come up, troubling your mind, and you start going, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done this, or I really don't want to do this part of it, I want to do that, or whatever, that is not the time for questioning if you made a good decision or not. The time for questioning is before you do it. It's like having a baby, you should think about having a baby before you get pregnant, not after you get pregnant. Okay? Think about it before. Yeah. Afterwards, difficult. Very difficult. So if things come up after you're ordained, that is not the time to start doubting, do I really want to do this or not? When things come up afterwards, the way to see it as is, this is a karmic hindrance that is coming up. Yeah? This is ripening of my negative karma, and it's ripening in my mind, being very unclear, very confused. Yeah? But I recognize this is a hindrance. This is not the reality. This is a hindrance. If you start thinking that your doubts are true, you're sunk. Yeah, you're really sunk. Yeah. So you have to do all the doubting before. Then it's like, okay, there's a hindrance coming. What do I do when hindrances come? They warned me beforehand there were going to be hindrances. You heard the talk she gave at BBC today. Yeah, there's going to be hindrances. What do I do when a hindrance comes up? I need to purify. I need to create merit. Okay, get out that prostration board and start making prostrations. Okay, get out your mandala set, start making mandala offerings. Start doing the refuge nundro. Yeah. Start doing Vajrasattva mantra. Yeah. And really work at purification. Yeah. Until you're able to rebalance your mind and get this back on track the way you want it to be. Yeah. So you have to view it as this is a karmic hindrance. It's not what I'm thinking is not the reality of the situation. Okay? Because the thing is, before you ordain, you think about all this stuff. I mean, that's why you're here at this program. And we're going to throw a lot of stuff at you to think about. Okay? And you're going to have to think about it even after this program. You're not going to finish with it in 17 days. Okay? But you think about all this stuff. And then when your mind is really clear, really peaceful, very confident, and there's no decision to make because what you want to do is obvious, then that's when you make the decision. Because there's no decision to make. Okay? So here, they're requesting, they want to go from home life to homelessness. Yeah. This person is not looking for another career. They're not looking for a community to live in their old age where somebody will take care of them. They're not looking for, a community of people to be palsy-walsy with so that they have a lot of friends. You're looking for liberation. You're looking for awakening. Okay? You want to leave the home life and go into homelessness, which means you want to shed all your old identities. In home life, what's your identity in a home life? First of all, we're the son or daughter of so-and-so, aren't we? It's our first identity. We come out of the womb, how are we known? This is son or daughter of our parents. Okay. Then, time goes on. Maybe we had siblings who were older. Maybe siblings come after us. Then we're also the brothers and sisters of our siblings. We're the cousins of our cousins. We're the nieces or nephews of our aunts and uncles. Time goes on. Then you become the aunt or uncle of your nieces or nephews. You become the mother or father of a son or daughter. Later you become the grandparents of a granddaughter or a grandson. Yeah? and your family connections, you are deeply embedded in a family structure of people who are older than you, the previous generation, your own generation, your children's generation. You're deeply embedded. You have that identity. Yeah. When you go into homeless life, you are giving up that identity. Okay. Now, it's true, you never stop becoming the son or daughter of your parents. So it's not that you're never going to speak to your parents again. They're still your parents. You respect them. You're grateful to them for how they brought you up. But your identity is no longer embedded in that structure, and you are immune. You make your mind immune to their expectations of you. Okay? This is part of what renunciation is about. Yeah. Because our mind right now, we, embedded in that family and structure, yeah, then our parents have, their idea of what we should become. And all of us probably don't fit our idea of what our parents should become. But that doesn't mean we're immune to the pressure from it. Okay? We have to meditate deeply on what samsara is, on the disadvantages of attachment and clinging and craving, so that we make our mind immune to the pressure of our parents, so that we make our mind immune to the pressure of our old friends even. Because our old friends, we were friends with them for years. We go back, they wanted to do the same thing with us that we always did. Let's go out drinking and drugging. Let's go play video games. Let's go play, soccer. Let's go to the movies. Let's, whatever you used to do with your friends. Okay? They want to do the same thing. Yeah? So if you're still influenced by the peer pressure of your friends, your mind is not free. You cannot think clearly and make your own decisions, because your decisions are going to be conditioned by the expectations of your old friends, by the expectations of your parents, and, if you have children, by the expectations of your children. Yeah. So you are not free if you make your decisions based on other people's expectations. Okay? How are you going to free yourself from cyclic existence if you try and become everything other people want you to be? Yeah. They want you to get married, they want you to have kids, they want you to be their parent and always be there, even though they want to ignore you when they want to ignore you. They want to be your cousins on 4th of July, and the rest of the year they don't care. So are you going to live your life and make your decisions based on the thoughts of other people who are under the influence of afflictions and karma, who do not know the Dharma, who do not think of past and future lives, who do not think of creating the karma for a good rebirth, people who think only of the pleasure of this life? Are you going to make your life decisions based on what those people want you to do? Or are you going to make your life decisions based on what the Buddha taught, considering that the Buddha is an enlightened being? Okay, so this is what we really need to look at. Yeah, and look at very, very closely. Yeah. And it's not that we look at it, get that settled, and then go on and it never comes up again. This is something that is with you your entire life. because it's a complete life process of constantly reaffirming your motivation and going deeper and deeper and deeper into your spiritual life and having your motivation be clearer and clearer. So don't think of it as, I just think about this for a little while. I got it clear and now it's all okay. As soon as you think one of your long-term problems is okay and you don't need to think about it anymore, let me tell you, it comes out of left field and it smacks you in the face. Okay? So don't think, oh, I've got this all taken care of. Yeah, that's arrogance. But really think, how do I want to live my life? Am I just going to live my life being what I think they think I should be, trying to make them happy? These people are sentient beings under the influence of afflictions and karma. Yeah. We're also sentient beings under the influence of afflictions and karma. We're trying to be free. Who do we turn to for instructions on how to be free? The people who are still stuck or the people who are liberated? Yeah. If you're stuck in quicksand, who's going to rescue you? The other people who are stuck in quicksand or the people who are outside? Yeah. So we need to get this very clear in our mind. Yeah. Otherwise, our whole ordained life, we're trying to negotiate. Well, my family wants me to do this, but the monastery wants me to do that, and I don't really know what I want to do. You get lost in the whole process because you're not thinking clearly. Yeah. So it's really important. You're going from home life to homeless life. When you go to homeless life, you need guidance. Yeah. That's why the Buddha set it up, that when you're fully ordained, this is after you're fully ordained, you stay with your preceptor for 5 years. It's not that you become a novice and then, well, I got the novice vows, now I'm going to go off and live on my own. Yeah. You're a baby in the Dharma. Yeah, we don't know what to do. We're baby practitioners. We can barely keep our robes on. Literally, because they're ready to fall off, So, is our mind clear? I know how to direct my own path to awakening. Yeah, okay, I got my ordination. Now I'm going to go off and do what I want. Yeah, do you know how to guide yourself to awakening? Yeah. So that's why we need to stay with the teacher, and that's why we need to stay in a community, because we don't know what the heck we're doing. Okay. But let me tell you, at the beginning, you think you have it all clear. Yeah. You can always tell the people who are newly ordained. They're the ones who always go sit at the front, in public teachings, because they think, now I'm ordained, I can sit in front of the lay people. So they go and sit in the very front, leaving their seniors sitting behind them. This is the mind of the newly ordained in public settings, Yeah. Because you're thinking, oh, now I'm somebody. And your first year of ordination is so crucial, because that's when you form a lot of habits. And I've seen people, they're ordained, they don't get teachings on the precepts, they don't live in a community, they maintain their ordination, kind of, for 1 year, and then they think, okay, now I'm all set. I kept my ordination for a year. I know what being a monastic is all about. Yeah, we don't have a clue. Yeah, generating a real monastic mind takes time. Yeah, it really takes time, because we're switching from home life to homelessness. It's not like that. There's a whole process that goes on, okay? And you have to also renegotiate with your family what your relationship with your family is going to be and what they can expect of you. Some people, when they hear my story, because my family, they asked me to leave the house. They didn't speak to me for years, okay? They go, oh, that must have been so difficult. Your family cut off relationships with you. Must have been so painful and so difficult for you. No. I was sad that my parents were suffering so much, unnecessarily. But actually, they did me an incredible kindness. Yeah. I have one Dharma friend, and her parents are, they're well-to-do. They pretty much supported her ordination. They bought her a house. She lives in her house. She has her own car. She has enough money where if she wants to go, take teaching somewhere. She has plenty of money. She never has to worry about that because she has an inheritance. She gets her plane ticket, goes off to teachings here, goes off to study there, doing whatever, has her own house, her own car, the whole thing. Yeah. And then, of course, her parents expect her to come on family vacations with them. Yeah. So you have to go on cruises. Yeah, you have to go for Thanksgiving dinner. You have to go for Christmas, Christmas. You have to go for birthdays. Yeah, and this is all expected. And not just from the family, but from her side too, because she's still embedded in the family life. Yeah. Okay. So when I look at my situation and I look at hers, some people may say, oh, she's so fortunate, And, and me, I was like broke. I had $50 to my name in India without a return ticket. People may say, oh, you were so unfortunate. I tell you, I was very fortunate. Very fortunate. Yeah. So, you have to think differently about what these things mean. Okay, so people are, the two guides are saying so-and-so wants to go forth from home life to homelessness. Why? To practice the Dharma and become a Buddha. It's not to become a teacher. Yeah, to become a meditation leader, to become a social activist, to become an author and write books, to change, to get rid of patriarchy in Buddhism, to work against climate change, to set up a kindergarten in an old folks' home, to become a translator, to, no, it's to practice the Dharma and become a Buddha. Okay, so right from the get-go. Okay, you see what I mean? Like there's two sentences here, but do you get some feeling of the meaning behind these sentences? It sounds like, oh yeah, so-and-so, disciple so-and-so wants to go forth from home life to homelessness to practice Dharma and become a Buddha. Yeah, what's next? No, there's so much meaning in this. Okay. So then, you follow you have this procession where the guides and then the disciple and then the Acharya and Upajjhayaka walk to the meditation hall. Then you do the incense offering. The incense offering, you invite all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to that space. Okay? So it's not, I'm just here with, my new community and whatever. No, it's like we are doing something really special, and we're calling out to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas throughout infinite space, and we're saying, please come here and witness and be a part of what we are doing. Something special is happening in samsara in this place right now. Please come here and guide us. Okay? Then there's some other stuff that happens. Okay, so then you have, when in the ceremony, you have a guide, and that guide takes you around. Yeah. And so one of the first things they do is they introduce you, you go and you pay respect to your upajjhaya, your preceptor, your teacher. So the guide says, son or daughter of a good family. Good family means Buddhist family, especially, you're the, when they say a child of the Buddha, it means you're practicing the Bodhisattva path, and you are going to progress along that to become a Buddha yourself. So son or daughter of a good family, according to Shakyamuni Buddha's teachings, the 5 bodies of the Buddha are accomplished by depending upon a teacher whom one should serve sincerely. Okay, and then it says, in the conventions of the world, you should request your teacher yourself, but the guide says, I'm concerned that you might not know what to do, so I'm going to guide you. Okay, so what are you, what's the guide saying? Okay, according to Shakyamuni Buddha's teaching. So we're following the Buddha's teaching. Yeah, we're not following Shiva or Jesus or Muhammad or Moses or, mom and dad, or, we're following the Buddha's teaching. The 5 bodies of the Buddha, okay? So this gets into let's just make it 2 bodies of the Buddha so we don't have to get too complicated, okay? So the wisdom, Dharmakaya, wisdom truth body of the Buddha, which is the omniscient mind of the Buddha, and then the form bodies of the Buddha, the enjoyment body and the emanation body, which are the forms that the Buddhas appear in order to communicate with us. Okay, so all these, essentially it means Buddhahood. Okay, yeah, so the 5 bodies of the Buddha, or Buddhahood, is accomplished by depending upon a teacher whom one should serve sincerely. Okay, so it's accomplished by depending upon a teacher. Yeah, that means that we're acknowledging we do not know how to guide ourselves to awakening. Yeah, we are babies in the Dharma. We need the guidance of people who have more experience. Yeah, we trust the guidance of people who have more experience. We're open to listening to their advice. We're not, when they say something to us, we're not going to go, yes, but, and then tell them what we want to do and what we think how we're sure we're right. Okay? So it's depending upon a teacher. I mean, if the Buddha were here and the Buddha gave you instructions, if the Buddha said something you didn't like, are you going to look at the Buddha and go, yes, but I really want to do this? Yeah? That wouldn't be too smart, would it? Say to the Buddha, yes, but, Buddha, you said we had to renounce every, samsara. Well, I don't think that's really so smart. I like samsara. How about if I just improve my samsara? you know, and I want to become a teacher, and if I tell all these other living beings they need to give up samsara, that's not very skillful because they don't really want to do it. So can't I just help them, you know, make their samsara a little bit more comfortable? Yeah. Do I have to say that you got to renounce samsara to attain Buddhahood? Can't I just say, be a good person and you'll become a Buddha? Yeah. Are you going to say that to the Buddha? Yeah. Buddha, the path you taught is too difficult and too complicated. You know, we need to simplify the path. Yeah. What do we know? Okay. So it's accomplished by depending on a teacher whom one should serve sincerely. Okay. So we serve our teacher. What does it mean to serve our teacher? Okay. It means that you think, what is important for my teacher? And what can I do to accomplish my teacher's purposes? Yeah. What's important for my teacher is that I learn and practice the Dharma. That's what's important for my teacher. That's how I serve my teacher. But my teacher also needs some physical help, because if my teacher has to run around and, you know, do their own laundry and cook their own food and mow the grass and clean the house and, you know, write 5 gazillion emails and do the bookkeeping and everything else, then my teacher's not going to have any time to teach me. So I need to serve my teacher by doing some of these tasks so that my teacher has more time to be able to teach me. Yeah. So I need to help. I need to be a helper. And I need to help with happiness, not resentment. Yeah. See, some people are thinking of stories. Venerable Semke, are you thinking of something? Do you want to share with us what you're thinking about?
So I don't think I really understood that when Venerable agreed to be my Upajjhaya, that I was to sincerely, you know, respect and serve the purposes that she had to benefit sentient beings. When I got ordained, my self-centered thought just kind of went crazy. And the first 6 months, it spent all of this time trying to find a way for her to say, you're out of here. So I was obstinate, I was resentful, I was stubborn, I was argumentative, I was critical, I was judgmental. She couldn't do anything right. And luckily for me, my teacher doesn't abandon crazy, berserky students. She has a lot of compassion. But she called me aside after a few weeks of this, and she said, you're digging yourself a hole that you're not going to get out of. And so she kindly thought that I might need a little bit of a perspective away from the Abbey. So she sent me away for 10 days to a lovely place of very senior monastics who have been ordained for many, many years, and just they held me in kindness and told me their stories, and I got to live with them, and I got to sort of get this crazy thinking somewhat under control, and really heard that the teacher is most precious. If you want to stay ordained besides your own motivation, you really have to trust your preceptor. You have to really be willing to trust that they, many times in the beginning, know a lot better what's better for you than you do. So I came back with my head a little bit more bowed than it was when I left. And then the beautiful thing that Venerable did when I got home is that she had me pull up all these beautiful pictures of the Abbey, and she had me print them out and make these beautiful handmade cards that then she invited me to send personal notes to all of our teachers. So I got to send a beautiful card from the Abbey to His Holiness and Geshe Zopa and Khenso Jampa Tekchok, all these wonderful teachers that we knew and that we were students of, and that just filled my mind with so much hope, with so much joy. And then as time has gone on, I think that argumentative, stubborn, crazy nun is a little bit more restrained and more joyful and far more trusting than she used to be. So, but I think if it wasn't for Venerable's kindness and compassion, I don't think I would have been able to stick around.
So we serve our teachers sincerely. So now I have to tell one of my stories. Okay, I always wanted to serve my teachers sincerely. You know, I wanted to bring my teacher food. I wanted to bring him cups of tea. I wanted to be in the inner circle of disciples that could go in there, you know, in his room and things like that. I didn't want to be on the outer circle who the people on the inner circle said, well, teacher's busy, you can't go see them now. You know, you have to wait 3 weeks. You know, I wanted to be on the inner circle. I wanted to bring the tea. Yeah, I wanted to be in his room when he did puja at 4 o'clock in the morning among the special people who were invited to his room to do puja at 4 o'clock in the morning. I wanted to be in that group. Okay, I wanted to cook my teacher's food. I did not want to work in the kitchen of the Dharma Center. I wanted to clean my teacher's dishes. I did not want to clean the dishes of the people who attended the course. Okay. And I was frustrated at every point. Yeah? I just was not in the in circle. And I would sometimes go in the kitchen, you know, if sometimes it happened, I was there, and Rinpoche would say, I want a cup of tea, and then I would go in the kitchen, and whoever the cook was, I would say, I'm cooking the cup of tea, because he told me he wanted tea. So I'm making the tea. And I'm going to take him the tea. So this is what is called competition with other disciples. Okay? You compete for your teacher's attention with the other disciples. Because you want to elbow them around. Because you want to get the most attention from the teacher. And we think that's serving the teacher. It's not serving the teacher. It's serving our self-centered thought, isn't it? It's serving our self-importance. So I suffered a long time through that. And sometimes the people who were close to my teacher were really good ones. Sometimes, talk about chaos. The chaos with the disciple, it was like the White House. Yeah? With different people fighting, and this one not talking to this one, and that one not talking to this one, because they all had strong personalities and they all wanted to get close to the teacher. Yeah, really, like the White House. The difference is that our teacher knew there was chaos, and he gave everybody teachings on how to deal with their own mind. Whether people practice or not is their own choice. Trump makes chaos and there's no teachings on how to deal with it. Okay, but you know, chaos. Really, believe me. Because some of these people had really strong personalities. Huh? But not me. No, not me. Because I never made it into the in crowd. It was just like high school. In high school, I wasn't in the in crowd. And here too, I just couldn't make it into the in crowd. I'm always left out. But at least in high school, it was the football players cheerleaders who were the in crowd. Here, these people weren't even, some of them were like worse than me. Some of them were really good. Some of them were like, that's not my role model. Yeah. But my teacher held them so dear. Yeah. But me, who was better than them, I was relegated to the outer circle. Yeah. So I suffered a lot from that. Until one day, Lama happened to say, he happened to comment on the people who were close to the teacher. And he said, sometimes the teacher holds close to them the people who are the most, who suffer the most and who have the most uncontrolled minds, because those are the people who need more help. So that was like, oh, okay. Maybe that is kind of an indirect compliment, But I still wanted to serve him tea. But then whenever I got the opportunity to serve tea, I was so nervous. Did I put the right amount of sugar in? Did I put the right amount of milk in? And like, am I offering to refill it often enough? Because in Tibetan culture, you have half a sip and then they refill your thing. But so should I refill it more often, less often? Does he want more tea? I was crazy. Forget Dharma practice, it was like single-pointedness on tea. The wrong mindfulness of tea, okay? I'm just getting so nervous and then wanting to be this very, sweet and humble. Yeah, I wanted to be the humble, sweet, cooperative disciple. Yes. But, because I saw that, and I saw there were some people who were nice and sweet and humble whenever they were in front of my teacher, and then as soon as they got away, there was another story. In fact, there were two of these people. One was German, one was Italian. Lama used to call them Hitler and Mussolini. And they were kind of like Hitler and Mussolini. He had us pegged, But, yeah. So they were always, with Lama, very nice. And then with the rest of us, Lama knew what was going on, They were like, we're in charge. Lama put us in charge. You sit here, you do this, you do that, you don't do this, you don't do that, And then they had us all, and then it was, I'm getting off track, but this is a good story. So we did this retreat, and, Hitler was all organized. And then we finished the retreat, and they decided that we needed to relax. So some other lay students, some other Westerners were having some party somewhere up near Tushita. And they decided, they kind of said, Lama said it was okay, but I'm not so sure about that we could all go to the party. Well, I decided not to. Okay. But some people went to this party and they were dancing. And it was like, it was a Westerners' disco party in the middle of India. Well, the Tibetans found out what the Western Sangha was doing, and they criticized so much. It's like, what are these people? These monks and nuns, and they're going to dance, and they're playing, rock music, and I thought they were, we thought they were up there doing retreat, and whoa, there was so much criticism. Yeah. So, so Hitler and Mussolini, made a few mistakes. They Yeah, it was not good. It was not good. Okay. Yeah, so you serve your teacher sincerely. Sincerely. Yeah, respectfully. Out of concern for what your teacher needs, not out of what you want to make your teacher into. Okay, oh, I can tell you another story of how I made a big mistake. So, true confession time. So, so the incarnation of one of my teachers, one of my very precious teachers, after he passed away, then they found his rebirth and his incarnation. And, I went and I became quite close with him over a period of time. And he was young, and he wanted, as all the young tulkus do, they wanted to go to the West, because they have a certain amount of social pressure to go to the West. So I, of course, had my idea about the way his Western tour should go. And, I never said anything much, and I never said, okay, let's go this year or whatever. I was just kind of waiting for it to happen. But my idea was, he'd come and we take him to the inner city, we take him to the science lab, we take him, to educational places so he could really see what society was like. We wouldn't take him shopping, because that's what all the other people do when they invite the lamas, is they take them shopping. And I'm not into that kind of trip. Okay, I hate shopping. And I also think that it spoils them. So, as much as they can be spoiled. But so I had my idea, we're going to do this and we're not going to do that. And when he wants to go, he'll just let me know. And then, but I had this all planned out in my mind, how it should be. Because I don't want him going to, to the shopping mall and to all these expensive places and doing that kind of stuff. That'll just ruin him. And then some time goes on, and then I find out that I can't remember if I found out while he was still in America or after he had come back from his trip to America. Because another person who had come, who had a lot of money, had invited him to America for a tour and had taken him to Disneyland and the shopping centers and all the places that I was not going to take him to corrupt him. And he didn't even tell me that he was coming to America. I found out by accident. It may have been even after he went back. I can't remember now. And I was like, I thought I was a close disciple and I was having this all planned out. And then this other person who's new, who has a lot of money, comes in and steals the teacher's attention away from me. And again, I'm left out. Do you see the repeat pattern? Yeah? You see the repeat pattern? I'm left out. Big teaching for me. Yeah? So, we think that we get teachings by people telling us things. Yeah, like, children, you have a little bit of a problem with being possessive and controlling. Somebody told me that. No, I'm not possessive and controlling. I wouldn't believe it. So what do the EI teachers do? They do this, and leave me out of it. In the same way as if somebody had said, children, you have a really bad problem with anger. I was saying, no, I don't. So because I couldn't understand it any other way, they sent me to be Gegu of the Italian monks. Yeah, you get it. You get it. Can you imagine a woman being the disciplinarian of the Italian monks?
Oh, you said it when you were in Italy, and I just said, yes, they are macho.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But that's how I figured out that I had a problem with anger. Not by my teacher calmly saying, children, you have a problem with anger, you should really work on it. No. They sent me to work with Sam and Hitler. No, Sam and Mussolini. Yeah. One of them was Mussolini was there, and then there was Sam. Yeah, so, we get trained in many different ways. Yeah, and we often don't realize the training until afterwards. After you've suffered. And you've suffered, and you realize that you're suffering, and that the only way out of your suffering is to change your mind. You say, well, I could disrobe. Yeah, then so what? That's not going to change anything. Well, I could go somewhere else with a nicer teacher who appreciates me more. Well, that's going to really do much. Because the thing is, it's like the dog with fleas. Okay? You have a big courtyard. The dog is here with his fleas, scratching, trying to get rid of the fleas. He thinks if he moves over here, he'll leave the fleas behind. So he moves to the other side of the courtyard. And what happens? The fleas come with him. And he's scratching like mad there. Yeah. Wherever we go, our afflictions come with us. Yeah. You really wish that Trump would abandon your afflictions. When you cross the border, that, the U.S. Immigration Services would say, you can come in, but your afflictions are rejected. Go back to your country of origin, afflictions. Only the person can come in. But it doesn't work that way. Our afflictions come right in with us, wherever we go. So the only way to deal with your suffering is to change your mind. It's the only way. Nothing else works. Yeah, you think, if I only got away from this person. Yeah. Sam is driving me crazy. If I only got away from Sam. Yeah, and you go away from Sam, then you find somebody else to hate and to be angry at, and who you think is doing a trip on you. Yeah, so it's just repeat performance. So, at the end of the day, we realize, it looks like the only solution is to transform my mind. Yeah, at the end of the day, that's the only thing that's going to work. Yeah, but you still think, well, maybe if I did this, maybe if I did that, if the situation were different, if I just change the situation a little bit, it'll really be workable. Okay, well, we got through maybe 4 sentences. Maybe you have some questions or comments? Well, I didn't deal with it very well when I was in Italy. Yeah, I only dealt with it afterwards. When I was in Italy, I would just get furious during the day, go back to my room. I tried to deal with it. I went back to my room and I studied chapter 6 of Shantideva. That was my Bible. That's how I learned it so well, because I had no choice. So I was trying to deal with it. I was doing my best. It wasn't like I knew I had a problem by that time. But I also thought that they were part of my problem. Yeah. Yeah, so I was trying. You know, I learned chapter 6 quite well. Because that was the only thing to do, was to try and practice. So I would calm myself down every evening. And then the next day I would go back in. And it wasn't just one macho Italian monk. There was a whole group of them. So it wasn't this one bugging me. It was that one or the other one or the other one, you know. And then I'd get furious during the day, go back to my room in the evening, pull out chapter 6 of Shantideva, try and calm myself down. And then after that whole thing, what happened is I wrote to Lama at one point, and I said, Lama, you know, kind of, because he had sent me to work there, I said, I'm not doing too well here. I'm creating a lot of negative karma because these people are doing this and this and this and this. So they're making me create all this negative karma. Yeah, they're making me create all the negative karma. I have no responsibility. Lama, can I leave? You know, can I go back to India? Please, can I go back to India? So Lama writes and he says, oh, we'll discuss it. I'll be there in 6 months. Rabjung is in the ordination ceremony. You take the 5 precepts. You're allowed to put on robes and shave your heads, but you have the lay precepts. So you're technically not a monastic yet. You have the lay precepts, plus you have the precepts to give up the signs of a lay person, to keep the signs of a monastic, and to follow your teacher. Yeah. So when the little kids go to the monastery, when they're really young, that's what they do, is they take the Rabjung and then they enter the monastery like that. And then sometimes the Westerners take Rabjung before they actually get ordained. Yeah, but what's confusing is that you're wearing robes, but you don't have all the monastic precepts. So other people think you're a monastic, but you're not quite. Did you want to comment on that? Yeah, it includes celibacy. Yeah, it's 5 lay precepts with celibacy. Yeah, it has a lot to do with your past karma. Yeah. Your past karma and your present state of mind. Yeah, and some people run out of the karma, but it's not just the karma, it's also your present state of mind. It's both things together, I think. Yeah. So I think that's why it's important that we dedicate merit not only to be in monastics, but to maintain our ordination. And not just to maintain it, but to maintain it well. Yeah. So it's really important to make the proper dedication and steer the merit so that in the future, yeah, things will go in that direction. They have, you look on Craigslist, you know, yeah, there's a whole list of teachers and they're guaranteed to lead you to enlightenment. $99.99 special deal this week for you. Okay?
Okay, don't send me to Italy.
There's some good teachers in Italy. You attend teachings. You check up on the teacher. It's really important to check. Just because somebody has the label teacher, first of all, doesn't mean they're a qualified teacher. And second of all, even if they are, it doesn't mean that that's the person that you have the karmic connection with that is good for you to study with. Okay, they could be an excellent teacher, but you don't have the karmic connection with them. Okay? But nowadays, it's really important to check people out quite well, because there is no standard vetting process that somebody goes through to get a license saying they are a qualified teacher, and I can't imagine having licenses for this. His Holiness explains that, if somebody's a good practitioner, at least in the monasteries, in the Tibetan monasteries, if you're a good practitioner and you're a good student, people notice your qualities. They will come and request teachings. And then you take them on and you teach them. In the West, it's a whole different thing because people show up here. Westerners don't know what are the qualities of a qualified spiritual master. They don't know what to look at. And we have this romantic view of Tibetans. Yeah, because they're all from Shangri-La. And and they're all holy beings. And, and then also us as a culture, we love idolizing people. We idolize sports stars. We idolize movie stars. We idolize politicians. And then what happens to all of them? They fall. And we had such unrealistic expectations that then when they make even a minor mistake, we really slam them, let alone when they make major mistakes. Okay? So it's very important to really stay and check the qualities of somebody. And there's a whole list of qualities in volume 2 of the series, which will be printed next May. There's 2 chapters about this, and it talks about what qualities to look for in a teacher. You should be able to find it in Lamrim Chenmo and some of the other books as well. And so you look and you see what are the qualities of that teacher. And foremost, I think, is you have to see, does that person keep good ethical conduct? Now, there are some people who are students of teachers who do not seem to keep good ethical conduct. But those students have benefited greatly from that relationship with that particular teacher. That is not for me to judge, and I won't comment on that. But I can just say for myself, I need a teacher who keeps good ethical conduct, because that's the kind of role model I need. I don't need a crazy wisdom role model. I'm already crazy, Yeah. So I need a role model of somebody who's restrained. So you have to see, what are your needs? And decide accordingly. So you check out ethical conduct. You see if they have meditation experience, if they know the teachings well. If they're a kind person, you try and get a feeling for their motivation. Are they really teaching because they care about the disciples, or because they want to have a following and they like to be praised and to get money? So you kind of check out. You look at the other disciples in the group. Do you want to become like them? Not the crazy ones, because remember, there's everybody's going to attract some kind of crazy ones. But the ones, do you want to become like what's the group energy like? So it's important to check those kinds of things, And then you see what fits. And the person that fits your friend may not fit you. And some people, like I was telling you my story, I just went to this course and what they said made sense and it helped me, and I kept going back, and then after a while I figured out these were my teachers. And I trusted them because what they told me when I practiced it made sense and it helped me. I didn't know there were all sorts of different kinds of things and this and that. It's just what happened. Other people, it's maybe you go to that teacher, that doesn't feel quite right. You go to this teacher, you go to see, but you have to check. Yeah. But you shouldn't, society, people have different karma regarding this. Yeah. And so it's hard to say. There's not one simple formula. But His Holiness says always check to see if that teacher is teaching according to the Buddhist teachings, the general Buddhist philosophy, or are they making up something? Yeah. And I would also like to add, I think if it's somebody in the Tibetan tradition, to check and make sure they have a good relationship with His Holiness. Yeah. You open your eyes and open your ears, and you see, is somebody saying, do they have pictures of His Holiness there? Or do they go out and protest, have protests when His Holiness teaches and call His Holiness a liar? It's very easy to find that out. Many things you can go on the internet now, too, nowadays, and check things out. Yeah. So here you come into different people have different needs. Some people want to be in the inner circle and want to suck the energy, the positive energy around the teacher. Other people, it's like, I don't want to be too close to the teacher because that's a hot potato, and they might point out my faults to me, and I don't really want that. So I'm quite happy to be on the outside circle where, I'll just kind of, tag along and do everything and keep a low profile, and then I won't get criticized. So those are the people that the teacher needs to hammer on because they're not going to grow. They're just trying to, be like this. And often what we think we need is the opposite of what we actually